Hello children, in this video I'm planning to explain you about a few concepts related to directed numbers. So then when you hear the word or the topic that you may think this is a very new topic for us, but we have not learned about these numbers, that whether it is a new type of numbers. You may think like that. But once you learn this topic, that you will realize this is something you have learned without knowing the name or without knowing about the topic. It doesn't matter that straight away without wasting the time. We'll move to the topic straight away, that when you hear the word directed numbers, that you are directing to something, right? So the directing to what? That it's all about the direction, right? Can you remember that we have learned about the number line, right? So we have learned about the number line, and on a number line, right, I'll take another color. So then on a number line, so then we know we do have two types of numbers. Can you remember that we do have two types of numbers? In the middle we have 0. Then to this side we have 1, 2, 3, 4. To this side again we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That here positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, positive 4. To this side what we have children? Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So then we have the positive numbers and negative numbers. So then what is the middle point? It is 0, right? The same thing I can show you in another way. Let's say this is the sea level, right? So this is the sea level, right? And here, the above the sea level that we consider with the positive values, right? So then here above the sea level, and here that this side, that the down, that the below the sea level, right? Below the sea level, above the sea level, and the below the sea level. So then this is how you can above the sea level and the below the sea level. So then you can identify that if you consider this as 0, let's say that there is a kind of, let's say a cliff, no, that yeah. So then something like this. So then here it is that the height of this is 300 meters. So then that is, we call that this point is, we call the positive 300. Why? It is above the sea level. The same way, let's say that there is something that the below the sea level, and it's, let's say that the distance here from this one 250 meters. So then this is the distance from the sea level. This is negative 250. Okay. So then we are dealing with the positive numbers and negative numbers with the 0. Simply we are talking about the integers. The other name we can give for these numbers, that the positive numbers, the positive whole numbers, negative whole numbers, and 0 collectively we name as the directed numbers. So then throughout this lesson, what we learn children, that we learn about the directed numbers, that the value, that how we change, something like that. For an example, that if I that go to your textbook content, right, I will take the first exercise for an example, and see that when you have that, when you are writing the number 2, you know here that I am talking about positive 2. I don't want to mention this with the positive sign and tell it is positive 2. Even though I mention the sign in front of the number or not, you know that I am talking about the positive 2. But if I have mentioned something like this, so then that is specifically I have to mention if the value is negative. If the value is positive, I can just keep it as it is without mentioning. But we know it is that we are talking about the positive 2 or positive 3, whatever the number. Now that we'll just see, draw a centigrade thermometer and mark a scale on it from negative 10 to positive 10. Now children, that what we need to do, tell me that we are going to draw a thermometer, right? For that what we do, that let's say, we'll take, So then line like this, then it's easier for me. Okay. So then we are going to draw the thermometer now. And what is the scale we want to get? That if it is at the 0 level, right? So this side we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that you want to continue. So the other side also -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. Likewise, you want to continue. And this 0 Celsius mean what is that point that we know that you have learned this with your science teacher also. This point we call the freezing point, right? So this is we call the freezing point. Now what you want to find, children, that use your drawing to write the following temperatures as positive or negative. 10 above the freezing point. So children, now you just imagine that if I take the number line, we know that the middle 0, to this side I have the positive number, to this side I have the negative number. That we know. And the same number line, I just that the turn anti-clockwise, that I kept it like this vertically, and that this is the practical way that we are using the number line, and this is that the thermometer, and that in the middle I have 0, and that the top of the 0, that the above the 0, all the values will be positive, and the values that the below the 0 point, they will be considered as the negative value. Now here they are talking about that the 10 above the freezing point, and we want to mention that we want to write whether this value a positive or negative. So then this will be a positive value. 7 below the freezing point, yeah, it is -7. 3 below 0, that you can imagine that in some questions they have given that they have named the 0 as 0 it is, but sometimes they have referred it as the freezing point, right? So the very first thing you should understand, 0 and the freezing point, the same thing they are referring. So then the 3 below 0, yeah, it is negative. 5 above 0, positive. 8 below 0, negative. Freezing point. So we don't have the positive sign or a negative sign. It's neutral, right? The freezing point, that is 0 Celsius, right? So then all the others, that the positive 10 Celsius. So then -7 Celsius. So -3 Celsius. Positive 5 Celsius. And -8 Celsius, like that. You can recognize whether this number is a positive number or a negative number, right? What is at the benchmark that we consider that the 0 level? Above the 0, that whether it is positive or it is positive, and below the 0, it is negative. So then the other term they may use for that the 0 level as the freezing point, right? So this is what you want to know initially, and that I'm planning to discuss the rest of the concept tomorrow. So for the time being, what you want to do, that you have the rough idea that what they are talking about, see that with the directed numbers, that you want to understand the sea level, that the top of that, then the below that. So how we are going to explain the things with the negative sign and the positive sign. If it is a positive number, normally we don't mention that the positive sign in front of the number, and that this is how we identify whether it is a positive or a negative number. We discuss this. Tomorrow we will discuss the rest of the question, the rest of the part. And today you can go through this and be thorough with the concept we learned. Keep in touch that tomorrow I'll discuss the rest of the concepts here.